Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on this first day of the Cincinnati Climate Week as we launch our Solarize Nonprofits program. I'm pleased to present to you our presenters here. Let me share my screen before we get started here. All right. That look good?
Yep, I can see it.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Well, folks, we are kicking off the launch of our Solarize Nonprofits program today. This is specifically geared towards folks in the Southwest Ohio area. If you're joining us from other parts of the country, you're welcome to learn about this program and how we set this all up. And maybe you can recreate something in your hometown. But we're going to go get started. My name is Nikki Vandevort. I work for the City of Cincinnati Office of Environment and Sustainability. I am the Clean Energy and Climate Resilience Manager here. And with me today are Ken Wright from Faith Communities Go Green, Rachel Cutsley from Solar United Neighbors, and Andreas Corellis from RE-volv. I'm going to start the program just kind of talking about what is the Solarize program and touch on, does solar work here in Ohio and why it's a good idea to consider going solar now. From there, I'll turn it over to Ken, who will give an introduction to Faith Communities Go Green and how we have been building a cohort here that's working towards energy efficiency, electrification, and clean energy generation and storage. And then from there, Ken will turn it over to Rachel, who will give us an introduction to Solar United Neighbors. She will explain what a solar co-op is and kind of the details around eligibility for joining our co-op. Rachel will turn it over to Andreas, who will give an introduction to RE-volv and speak to what their organization does, a little bit about solar ownership models that this program utilizes, as well as financing. And then we will round things out. I'll come back and talk about the program timeline and have time for Q&A. This will be recorded. This is being recorded, and it will be shared on our Office of Environment and Sustainability's website, as well as the program website. So just to set a foundation here, I do work for the City of Cincinnati. This program, along with many others, is rooted in the stewardship of the Green Cincinnati Plan. The Green Cincinnati Plan has a overall goal of carbon neutrality by 2050, and within the plan, there are 8 focus areas, one of which is buildings and energy. One of those goals in buildings and energy is obtaining 40% of electricity load from clean energy sources by 2030. And written into our Green Cincinnati Plan is an action that is supposed to get us to that goal, which is to support programs like Solarize that encourage adoption of rooftop solar. The city has been doing Solarize programs. It's been a few years, but we're kind of bringing this back. Solarize programs, solar co-op programs have been happening across Ohio through Solar United Neighbors, and RE-volv works across the nation. Solar United Neighbors works across the nation too. But here in Cincinnati, this is kind of a jumpstart for a program that hasn't been here for a couple of years. And again, I do want to point out that this is intended as a Southwest Ohio program overall. So if you're located in Hamilton County or Montgomery County or any of the counties touching those counties in Southwest Ohio, this is a program for you. But basically, the City of Cincinnati and our friends up at the City of Dayton will be acting as the backbone organizations for this program. We are connecting community stakeholders and prospective customers to technical assistance that is provided by Solar United Neighbors and RE-volv. We'll be your go-to resource about the program. We'll be here from start to finish if you've got questions. And on the left side of the screen, we've got those prospective customers. We'll get into how Faith Communities Go Green has been playing into that. But this is open to interested nonprofits and other tax-exempt organizations like schools, local governments, and houses of worship. And Faith Communities Go Green will specifically be supporting their own members through this process. And then we're connecting to technical assistance provided by Solar United Neighbors and RE-volv, and essentially very high level. There will be two categories of kind of pathways for organizations to move forward in this program. Organizations that are looking at systems that are larger than 25 kilowatts will be more paired with RE-volv, and organizations with systems that are smaller than 25 kilowatts will be more paired with Solar United Neighbors. And that kind of splits along the more residential size systems versus commercial size systems line. All organizations that are interested, this is free to sign up. You're welcome to join us for any webinars or workshops related to this, just to get, education or learn more. And these organizations will be providing support throughout the program. Just to touch on solar in Southwest Ohio, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. So we have seasonality here. I had an architect once say, I don't recommend solar anywhere in Cincinnati because it's so cloudy here. It is still worth it to go solar. Even in the winter, we're still generating electricity from solar photovoltaic systems. And also Ohio has net metering. So if you overproduce in the summer when you have lots of sunshine, you earn credits on your bill towards your low production months when you are not generating as much solar. So that's a nice benefit there. And this is with the caveat, so long as your building isn't too shaded, and certainly if you are able to put solar on your roof, if your roof is suitable. Benefits of going solar, certainly a cost savings on your utility bill, depending on the size of your system. And this being a long-term investment, once it's paid off, you have years of free energy after the system is paid off. So oftentimes the payback period will be somewhere in the range of, 8 to 12, maybe a little bit longer years, but these panels have lifetimes of 20, 25, 30 years. So that's a long-term investment that pays back over the years. And then also financial stability, minimizing impacts of utility rate hikes. I know that across Ohio and really the nation, there's been some price volatility in electricity. And then finally, using less fossil fuel means reducing your carbon emissions. And I know that's a priority for a lot of organizations, and certainly the Office of Environment and Sustainability. I just want to point out this lovely photo of the barn of Horses on the Hill. It's in the neighborhood of Price Hill in Cincinnati. This solar installation was put together with support from the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden, the City of Cincinnati Seeds of Change Grant, and Sunlight Power. And so that's a nonprofit right here in our backyard who is already benefiting from a solar system. Why go solar now? So there are two pressing reasons. I just touched on one of them. That's the rising energy costs. So we've got, if you're interested in reading a little bit more about what has fed into these rising costs, there's a link here to the Ohio Capital Journal from the middle of last year related to how the PJM auction for capacity really affected folks' electricity bills. And then also very recently, if you're in Duke Energy territory, they've just announced that they are looking to file a rate case to increase distribution charges. So that is certainly coming down the pike for 2027. But also there's the federal investment tax credit and bonus credits. So this is something that came through with the Inflation Reduction Act. It is a tax credit that has actually been around for quite some time, but now there is, through the IRA, a provision called elective pay, also called direct pay, that allows nonprofits, allows tax-exempt entities to actually get a tax credit. A lot of people will call it a tax rebate on clean energy systems like solar and also battery. So the base credit for that is a 30% base tax credit if you meet the requirements there, and that means satisfying foreign purchasing rules, which we will certainly get into at a later date with the Solarize program and the education we'll be able to offer. But then there's additional 10% tax credits on top of that if you were to pursue domestic content, and if you were located in certain geographies related to coal country or low-income neighborhoods. The caveat here is that this tax credit is running out and will be terminated by the end of 2027. So you must have your system placed in service by the end of next year in order to get the tax credits. And so that's why we have kind of a pressing need to move forward with a cohort of nonprofits now to take advantage of that. And so next up, we've got Ken from Faith Communities Go Green. He's going to speak to that organization and how we've been thinking about helping nonprofits and houses of worship with energy efficiency and clean energy. And take it away, Ken.
Thank you. I'm Ken Wright, and I'm a member of Faith Communities Go Green. And for those of you who are not familiar with our organization, we've been around for about 5 years now. Last fall was our 5th anniversary, and we partner with religious organizations in the area to try to help them be more sustainable and reduce their local costs, as well as to work towards reducing the risk of catastrophic climate change. We have 4 working groups in our organizations. You can see there on the right of the slide. I'm associated with the facilities group there, and that is the piece of our organization that's going to be most closely connected with this effort here. My email is there, as well as our webpage address. If you're not familiar with us, do take a chance to look at our website and get acquainted with us. Okay, let's move on. Next slide. Thank you. One thing we've been doing for the past 3 years is what we call our Energy Efficiency Initiative, and that is intended to help congregations reduce their energy use in their buildings and thereby lowering their utility bill and freeing up dollars for them to do their real mission of program, and reducing pollution in the air with carbon dioxide and other things that are associated with generation of utilities. We have been doing energy audits in our member organizations. We have asked for volunteers from each organization who gets an audit. They get trained and how to do a level 1 or observatory type energy audit. Here's a picture of a group there in the training session on the left. And we've done 20 of those. And many of those have been then gone on to have a level 2 audit, which is done by an engineer and is certified, so that if you want to have, apply for a grant, then that level 2 certification is usually needed to verify that those projects that you want to propose are indeed viable. And on the right there, just kinds of things we look for as we walk through a building. Simple things like just leaks and cracks. This is an outside door. It's obvious that there's an air gap there, which is not a good thing to have. You're just wasting energy. So we write up a report, give it to the organization that we audited, and then help them walk through the steps, the things that they need to do, and to try to improve their energy efficiency. Okay, let's move on to the next slide.
I think there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah, it's okay. It works. In this program, we are, however, our role is expected to be to help identify houses of worship and their related nonprofits. It's not only just houses of worship, but many religiously related nonprofits who could benefit from solar, either through our energy efficiency program or others, and connect them with Solar United Neighbors and RE-volv and help them work through the steps in this program and be a guide and resource. Now, just as a full disclosure, you do not have to be a member of Faith Communities Go Green to be in this program. We'd love to have you on board, and you're welcome to join us. We encourage it, but it's not an essential part of it. Thank you very much. Okay, Rachel, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thanks. I will introduce Solar United Neighbors quickly and then talk about our solar co-ops and how those work. So Solar United Neighbors is a vendor-neutral national 501c3 nonprofit. What that means is we are not a solar installer. We don't sell you solar panels. We are here to provide independent, unbiased advice, and we do a lot of consumer education to help people make the best decision for them when they're going solar. So we don't have a financial interest in selling you some big system. We want you to get what is right for your needs when you're going solar. We help people go solar, join together, and fight for our energy rights. To talk a little bit about our impact here in Ohio, we've been working in Ohio since 2015. You can see almost 1,000 people have gone solar with us, so we would love to hit that number this year. And we're almost at 8 megawatts of installed capacity, which is pretty amazing because we mostly just do rooftop solar, so small systems. And we've helped create 192 solar jobs just from our work here in Ohio. We can go ahead to the next slide, and we'll dive into what is a solar co-op. So a solar co-op is a group of households or businesses or nonprofits who are all going through the process of going solar at the same time. And there's a number of benefits to this. Like Nikki said, we are here to give you expert advice throughout this process. So any questions, we do more webinars, more educational programming, so that you really feel comfortable and like you understand what it is you're getting with solar. We do see typically a discounted price when we do a bulk purchase. So it's the same as going to Costco or Sam's Club. When you buy in bulk, generally things are cheaper. So when we help organize a number of households or businesses or nonprofits that are all going through this process, that means the installer can purchase in bulk and offer a lower price to the customers, pass on those savings to the customers. We coordinate a competitive bid process for our co-ops. So again, we're not an installer. We are vendor neutral. So we'll talk about this on another slide, but we'll put out a request for proposals and help the co-op members actually choose the installer that will then service all of the customers in the co-op. And there's no cost or commitment until you actually sign a contract with the installer. So you can see at the bottom is kind of the process of going through the co-op. You'll sign up, you'll go through a screening process, you'll participate in our educational activities, you'll get a personalized quote from the installer, and it's not until you actually sign that contract that you have any kind of commitment or any kind of cost to participating in the co-op. So up to that point, totally free, no commitment. You're welcome to join, even if you're just exploring the idea of solar. This is a great way to learn. If you're not ready to go solar this year, that's okay. Sign up, do all the educational things, and then you'll be really well informed when you're ready to do it next year, if that's the case. And then after you sign your contract, obviously installation, and then we host a solar celebration at the end. We can go on to the next slide. So how can a co-op access better pricing for solar? This slide shows kind of the components of the price that you're paying for solar panels when you go solar. And as you can see, a significant portion of that cost are called soft costs. That refers to everything from marketing, advertising, customer service, and answering questions, going out and locating customers, the time that it takes to get permits, that sort of thing. So typically the installer has to pay all of those soft costs for every customer that they're bringing in. When we do a co-op, we, Solar United Neighbors, and the other groups working on this program are helping reduce all of those soft costs. So we're coordinating a big group of people. That means the installer doesn't have to go out and knock on their doors and try to sell them a solar system. We're bringing them the customers. And so they are saving on all of those soft costs, and they can pass those savings on to the co-op members. We can skip to the next slide. So who is eligible for the Solarize program? Anybody in Southwest Ohio is welcome to join. Cincinnati, Dayton, and surrounding areas, as Nikki mentioned. All electric utilities allow you to go solar. So whether you're a municipal, whether your electric provider is a municipal utility, whether it's an investor-owned utility like Duke or AEP, or if you're a member of a rural electric co-op, all of those will allow you to go solar. They offer obviously different electric rates and different compensation systems for solar that will change how long your payback period is. So without the tax credits for solar customers in investment and investor-owned utilities like Duke or AEP, the current payback is around 12 years. Again, without the tax credits, which you all would get as nonprofits. If you're in a rural electric co-op, it's a little bit longer because their rates are different. And their compensation is different. So that's just something to keep in mind, and certainly something we could discuss further if you sign up for the co-op and are participating in our educational programming. RE-volv will conduct an initial screening of folks who sign up for the Solarize program to help determine whether you're going to fall into category 1, which is going to be smaller systems, or category 2, which is larger systems. So category 1 is really households and small businesses or nonprofits that are going to have kind of a standard and average size solar installation. Average size residential in Ohio is 7 kilowatts. So up to 25 kilowatts, you can imagine, is like roughly 3 standard residential roofs. So if you can imagine, your solar system would be kind of in the ballpark of 3 standard roofs. You're probably going to fall into the small system bucket. If you're bigger than that, you would be a large system. But again, RE-volv is going to help categorize folks into one of the 2 buckets. What that means, folks in category 1 will go through the Solar United Neighbors solar co-op process. You'll benefit from the bulk pricing under our co-op system or co-op process. Folks in category 2 will work individually with RE-volv. Your system is big enough that you basically get a bulk discount on your own. So you will get a custom package. You'll work directly with RE-volv to figure out what exactly is right for you. One other thing I remembered that I should have put on this slide is what kind of roofs are good for solar. Just to give you an idea, the ideal roof for solar is south-facing. It has at least 200 square feet of uninterrupted space. So ideally flat, not like lots of dormer windows or like turrets and weird architecture. We like flat and not shaded, like Nikki said. So we do not recommend cutting down trees to go solar. You get lots of other benefits from those trees. You should keep those. So if you are heavily shaded, you might not be a good candidate for solar. The other thing you want to think about is your roof age. As Nikki said, this is a long-term investment. So we really recommend that you have a roof that's newish, like 1 to 10 years, or is in really good shape. If you have an older roof, if you put solar on it, and then you need to fix or replace your roof, you will have to pay to get the solar removed and then reinstalled. So that's not ideal. You want to just take care of any roof repairs, or if you need to get a new roof, you want to do that first before you go solar. So that is all the roof information we'll cover today. Moving to the next slide, how is the co-op installer chosen? So I mentioned through our co-op process, we help organize a committee of co-op members who will actually select the installer. So Solar United Neighbors, we're vendor neutral, we don't pick them, but we will help coordinate the process. So we will put out a request for proposals, local installers submit bids, and then the selection committee of co-op members will review those bids and select the best installer. This is a really great system because the selection committee can keep in mind the priorities of the co-op members. They can use their judgment, so they're not tied to like lowest price, which sometimes can mean lesser quality, but they can really evaluate things like equipment quality, like the warranties that are being offered, like the service record of the installer. So they're looking at the whole package and making an informed decision on which best fits the needs of the co-op members. And then the installer agrees to provide the same price scheme and the same products to all members of the co-op. So everybody's getting the same discount by going solar through the co-op. So on the next slide, I wanted to touch on just briefly 2 examples of nonprofits who have gone solar through our co-ops. The first one here is the Dayton NAACP. you can see they're housed in kind of a residential style house. And so their system is one that would qualify as a smaller system, quote unquote. They went solar through our Miami Valley Co-op in 2022. They ended up with a 5 kilowatt system for their roof, which was 13 panels. And then they also have a battery backup. And that's fantastic because you do need a battery backup if you want to have electricity when the grid goes down. If you only have solar panels, it's a safety mechanism. If the grid goes down, your solar panels automatically turn off so that you don't electrocute the people working to get the power restored. If you want to have power when the grid goes down, you do need a battery backup. So installing that battery means that the NAACP building can serve as a little bit of a resilience hub. If folks have medications they need to keep refrigerated or specific needs, they can come and the building will have power when the grid goes down. This solar installation is saving NAACP $57,000 over the life of the system. So as Ken was saying, this really allows the nonprofits to do it frees up those finances to actually achieve the mission of the nonprofit. So that's fantastic. And the array that they installed here offsets 82% of their electric use. The quote there at the bottom is from the inauguration, the ribbon cutting that they did for their panels. And as we said, it really, it's about more than just the electric bill. It's allowing the nonprofit to do even more than they could before. On the next slide, we see the Gem City Cafe, the Catfe. This is a coffee shop, a cat rescue, a nonprofit in Dayton that also went that also went solar through our solar co-op in 2023. They have an 11 kilowatt array, so a little bit larger, but again, it still falls into that small system category. You can see they're actually housed in a historical building in Dayton, so they had to get some special permits, but it is possible to go solar on historic buildings. And their system cost was initially $40,000. But with the tax credit, they were able to save $12,000 on the installation. So it's really a phenomenal benefit that we have for a limited time at this point. And solar has helped them hold down their electric costs, even though they've doubled their operating hours and they've seen electric rates go up, but their bills have stayed pretty much flat since they're able to generate their own electricity on their roof. My next slide here just sums up really quick. Why do you join a solar co-op? You do get a great value on installation. I failed to mention, but we have co-ops running currently in the Central Ohio area and also in Cuyahoga County. To give you an example, our Central Ohio co-op, their price rate is $240 per watt, compared to an average retail price of around $3 a watt. So it is a really great price that we can get by helping folks go through this as a group. You get great support throughout the process, and you get the chance to connect with fellow solar enthusiasts. So we would love to have you, and I will pass it on to Andreas to talk about RE-volv's support for the Solarize program.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I'm having some issues with my video, so I'm not sure why it is not on, but hopefully the pictures on the slides will suffice. Really excited to be here with you all. Thanks so much, Nikki and the folks from the city of Cincinnati, and of course the partners from Solar United Neighbors and Faith Communities Go Green for helping put this together. We couldn't be more thrilled about working with you all to help nonprofits in Ohio go solar. So a little bit about RE-volv. We are a nonprofit organization. We're a 501c3 based in San Francisco, and we work nationally. And we've done many projects in Ohio, and we'll touch on those in a moment. And we are a nonprofit to help fellow nonprofits go solar. So when a school, church, shelter, health clinic, any nonprofit that's interested in going solar comes to us, we help them through the process of selecting installers and then providing financing for them and helping them achieve their goal of completing their project. We've been doing this work since 2011, so we're now in our 15th, and we are an emerging CDFI, community development finances, to help organizations that otherwise might not have access to clean energy finance make sure that they can get it as well. Next slide. So RE-volv likes to think about our work as having what we call 3 pillars, our sort of invest, engage, and empower focus areas. So with Invest, RE-volv is helping a nonprofit identify what type of solar array and or battery storage array might work for their nonprofit. And then we're helping them select installers, vet those installers, and then providing long-term financing for them. So this is zero down financing, so that nonprofits don't have to pay out of pocket to get their solar project started. And then we will work with them to save money on their energy bills over the next 20 years, and make sure that their system is well maintained. Our engage pillar is really around our community engagement. So as Rachel mentioned, we'll host a ribbon cutting event. We'll get community members there. We'll ideally get the press to tell the story about the project, as well as do photo and video storytelling, so that more and more people can learn about your project and get excited about solar. And then lastly is empower. We train the next generation of clean energy leaders through our Solar Ambassador Fellowship Program, where we've actually had students from the University of Dayton in our program for the whole time. They were one of the inaugural universities in the program. They've been in the program for over 10 years, and they've helped many nonprofits in Dayton go solar. And we also empower people in the community to find out about solar, whether that's for their home, get involved in solar advocacy and other related efforts. Next slide. So one of the reasons, I'm sure all of you here don't need any more convincing about, the benefits of bringing solar to your nonprofit. But one of the reasons why we particularly focus on nonprofits is this concept called the solar seeding effect. And this applies to any solar system where when someone sees solar on another roof, they're inspired to go solar themselves. But in the case of nonprofits, that's actually even more pronounced. So there was a study from Lawrence Berkeley Lab a few years ago that found that when one nonprofit or house of worship goes solar, that in that community, you'll see on average 3 to 5 projects per quarter go solar at home as a result. So over the first 5 years, that's an additional 80 residential solar projects in that neighborhood. So when your, house of worship or the nonprofit that you work with or associated with is considering this, think about that impact, that it's not just that, it's not just you saving money on your energy bills, but that in your neighborhood, you're likely to see up to, 80 or more residences go solar as you're taking action. Next slide. So to date, RE-volv has helped close to 140 nonprofits in 20 states go solar. We've invested about $20 million into those projects and have saved those organizations over $40 million on their energy bills. So for every dollar that we invest in a solar project, it's saving nonprofits over $2 on their energy bill, which is something that they can put back into their mission. About 6 megawatts of solar projects financed with about 200,000 people benefiting at those nonprofits, and about 500 plus ambassadors trained at 30 universities, including University of Dayton, one of the inaugural members. So obviously, I think a big question that a lot of folks, and as Rachel mentioned, we're really excited to be partnering with Solar United Neighbors in this way, where the 25 kilowatt and smaller projects will be able to work with Solar United Neighbors to get discounted systems. And for those of you that are larger than 25 kilowatts, RE-volv can help you walk through that process one-on-one, and we can provide financing to anyone. So any organization, any size, and again, for the smaller projects, it might be worth just a cash purchase. It might just be worth, hey, it might only cost us, a few $1,000s. Let's just go ahead and pay for it, and that'll give you the maximum amount of savings. But if your solar system is enough that it gives you a little bit of a sticker shock, we might not have that cash lying around, then obviously the main question that folks ask is, how can I get financing for my solar system? So that's what RE-volv focuses on. We're a nonprofit and we exclusively finance solar for fellow nonprofits. And so we provide 3 different financing products for your organization. What are typically sort of grouped into 2 categories. So one is the loan product, which would be if you really want to own your own equipment, sort of for nonprofits where ownership is important, we can provide you with a loan. And that works like any other loan, car loan or a mortgage. We also have your third-party ownership options, which is the lease or power purchase agreement. The lease is, like a car lease, right? You're paying a flat monthly rate, and we guarantee a certain amount of production from your solar system each year. And then there's a true up if it's not met. And then in the power purchase agreement, it's a fixed rate of electricity, which is lower than what your utility currently offers, and you just pay for what is produced. In either case, as Nikki mentioned, the main impetus for us moving quickly right now is to make sure that you can claim your investment tax credit through the elective pay program. In either scenario, you will be able to maximize the elective pay available to you because in a loan scenario, RE-volv will work with your organization to make sure that you're registering and filing for your ITC correctly so that we make sure that you get the maximum amount. And if it's a lease or a power purchase agreement where RE-volv owns the equipment, because we're a nonprofit, we can take advantage of that ITC ourselves and build that into the financing for you. Next slide. So here are just a few example projects in Southwest Ohio. These were all brought through our University of Dayton Solar Ambassadors. So in the picture there on the left, you can see the team of college students of solar ambassadors who really, put in a tireless effort to get these projects done. Worked hand in hand with, in this case, Mission of Mary, which is an incredible organization focusing on sustainability and food systems. Has a number of community garden initiatives in Dayton, Ohio. And this system is going to save them $16,000 on their energy bill. And then, of course, there's the ribbon cutting event there, which they were brave enough to go out and do it in the snow. Next slide. East End Community Services, which is an incredible organization, part of a larger group of nonprofit organizations across the Midwest that provides youth with sort of programs and services, workforce development, a whole number of incredible programs for the community. And East End, also through our solar ambassadors, going to save approximately $30,000 on their energy bills through going solar. Next slide. And then Oak Tree Corner, also incredible organization, works with families that are going through a difficult time. Really, and that's actually one of the really fun parts about our work is getting to find out about all these really cool nonprofits in different parts of the country and different parts of the state that are doing really fascinating work and seeing how solar can help them lower their energy bills so that they can put more into what they're providing. Oak Tree Corner is going to save $83,000 to that beautiful solar array there on the roof. Next slide.
And I think I'm taking it from here.
Perfect. Great.
Thank you, Andreas. All right. So if you were curious about how does this look time-wise, this is the slide for you. And hopefully it's not too terribly confusing, but I wanted to get a lot of information on here and be able to get that kind of succinct. So from left to right, today is our launch for our Solarize Nonprofits program. Very exciting time. If you're interested, you would then go to southwestohiosolar.org. There's more information there, including the intake form. Again, as Rachel had mentioned before, there's no commitment, there's no cost until you sign a contract. So all the way up until that point, this is just exploratory, really. When you go to that intake form, one of the things that RE-volv needs in order to make that assessment for your system size is 12 months of your electricity bills. We know that that can be kind of challenging for nonprofits to track down and houses of worship. So do your best and that will really help inform what size system you're going to need. From there, once they receive the intake form, RE-volv's going to schedule a one-on-one meeting with you to determine, are you best served by Category 1 or Category 2? If you're going to kind of fall more into that smaller system size, you're going to go in this orange route up top, more that Category 1. And so let's follow that down the line. The Solar United Neighbors is going to be launching our campaign specifically related to residents, and this is kind of like these are related programs. The nonprofits and the Solarize Southwest Ohio related programs because the smaller nonprofits will be able to go through the co-op with residents systems. More bulk purchasing hopefully means greater savings for everyone involved. So that campaign will kick off in September, and there will be a residential recruitment period through, we're targeting December 1st as the close of that. So that is when you as a nonprofit or as a resident, if you're interested, would need to sign up by that deadline. And so sometime in January, after going through the RFP process, the request for proposals and getting proposals back from installers, you can expect to get a personalized quote. This will then, you would, I imagine as a nonprofit, need to take that back to your board or what have you, eventually working your way towards signing a contract. And from there, we're looking at installations in 2027, along with those, celebrations at the end. If you are larger than that 25 kilowatt system size, we're looking at going down the blue path here for more of the commercial sized groups. So after your intake meeting, you're going to receive a proposal from RE-volv within about 2 weeks after the intake meeting to review your solar proposal, recognizing as nonprofits that you likely have a board or other people that have to kind of agree to moving forward with something that will take some time. So, estimating 1 to 2 months later, looking at signing an agreement, and then within a month or so, beginning installations, and then the celebration at the end. This will be sort of a rolling nonprofit intake and education process. So not listed here is all the webinars and additional education that will be provided. But between June 8th now and December 1st, this is the window of opportunity to sign up and be either a part of this co-op approach with Solar United Neighbors or working one-on-one with RE-volv. Folks from Sun, folks from RE-volv, did I miss anything? Do you want to add anything?
I can just hop in. As you mentioned, since nonprofits are working with the board, and sometimes it takes a little time to get the finances straightened out and everything, we'd really encourage folks, if you think you'll be in that smaller bucket, the Category 1, to really start thinking, start planning, so that when we do open up the formal co-op in September, that you're ready to hit the ground running, because since it's a co-op and a group purchase, it will have kind of a firm cutoff date. Our installers can only offer their bulk pricing up till a certain date. So it's really helpful if you can start putting the wheels in motion, as soon as possible, so that you can make sure that you can go solar with the rest of the co-op.
Yeah, that's important. Thank you for bringing that up. So why not launch the residential program at the same time as the nonprofit program? Well, so for 2 reasons. Nonprofits, they're not typically a decision point of one, right? So you've got possibly a board that you have to get approval through, and that takes time. So you need a longer on-ramp. The other aspect is that tax credit. So the ITC tax credit, that's available for nonprofits and businesses, but the residential solar tax credit was terminated at the end of 2025. So not only do you have that longer on-ramp for just the fact that you've got more people involved in making decisions, now you also have to learn about like solar tax credits and get some technical assistance in order to take advantage of those. So we want to be able to start earlier, the better, just so that we are sure to meet that 12/31/2027 deadline for that tax credit. And again, unfortunately, the residents, the households don't have access to a tax credit now, but through this bulk purchasing approach, at least there is some way, some mechanism for them to realize some savings. All right. That leaves us with our final slide. If your interest is piqued, please visit southwestohiosolar.org. You can visit it with this QR code too. And thank you to my co-presenters. I'm going to open it up to Q&A, and you may have to ask your question in the chat or the Q&A function button. All right, Jason King, you're asking, is there any danger that installers will be backed up due to the deadline? The system will not be installed by the end of 2027 and miss the tax credits. I'm going to give it over to Rachel, and then Andreas, you can answer on your side of things.
I would say, for folks, if you're able to get started now, you'll be just fine. If if it takes a long time to get things in order and you're not ready to sign a contract until September, October of 2027, then yes, you're going to be in a real crunch. That's kind of what we saw with the residential credits that got phased out. Installers got booked up by maybe August or September. They were saying we can't take any more. We can't sign any more contracts and guarantee installation by the end of the year. So if we're able to get you through our co-op and get you, signed up, sign a contract by late 2026, early 2027, you should be just fine to get it installed by the end of 2027. Typically, at least for residential systems, you're looking at kind of a 2 to 3 month time frame from the time you sign the contract to get all of the permitting squared away and actually get the panels up on your roof.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that. Thanks, Rachel. And for those of you that would have a slightly larger system, so for the 25 kilowatt and larger systems, we are wanting to err on the side of caution. So we are suggesting that people sign up as soon as possible, ideally within the next few weeks. Really by the end of this month would be great to get your electricity bills. And then that way, as Nikki outlined, we would, get you a proposal and work with your board of trustees or stakeholders to get to a signed agreement and ideally start construction no later than September 1st. Just so that we can have, at least a year, especially for some of these larger projects that might take a year to build. And then it also gives us a little bit of a buffer so that in the event that there are delays in construction, or to your point, installers are going to have, a lot of projects lined up in the event that, for whatever reason, there's a delay, that way we can be sure that we're going to hit that end of 27 deadline. So we're really looking to, get in conversation with you, by the end of June. And ideally we're starting, signing an agreement by the end of August.
All right, thank you. Our next question is from Michelle. She asks, what happens to the panels once they no longer work? Is there a environmentally friendly disposal option? I'm curious if our folks at Solar United Neighbors or RE-volv have run into any systems that have reached the end of their useful life and have either been disposed of via landfill, or if there's been a recycling resource available.
I have not seen that yet. Like you said, their lifespan, the panels are usually warranted for 25 years, and then they continue to produce after that for some time. So you're looking at like 30 to 40 years before you'd be ready to remove the system. The panels themselves are mostly glass and steel, so that is recyclable. They do have some like smaller amounts of different materials, but they are working on developing the technology to recycle the full panels. So I don't know if Andreas has a better understanding of the technology around that, but that's about as deep as I can go.
Echoing exactly what Rachel said, and just that, yeah, I know that obviously that's a huge, I mean, especially for some of the utility scale projects, there's so many panels out there that there are a lot of folks thinking and working on, how do you recycle those materials? How do you reuse, those rare earth elements? So certainly by the time your system, 30 years from now, when anyone on this call would be looking to retire their solar system, there will definitely be plenty of recyclable options available, would be my guess.
All right, thank you. Next up is Mike Bruning. He asks, is there an existing co-op within Southwest Ohio that residential folks can join to take part in the tax credits? And if so, could you post a link to it? So unfortunately, there is no way for residents to take advantage of the tax credit unless they go through sort of this leasing process and third-party ownership, in which case the resident works with the solar installer typically, or another organization that actually owns the system, does the O&M on the system. The resident purchases the electricity from the owner of the system, and then they're not responsible for taking care of the system. That's on the owner's responsibility. Because technically the owner would be a commercial entity, those systems are able to take advantage of the tax credit. The tax credit isn't always like fully passed through to the resident in those types of setups. But I'm curious, particularly from Andreas, with your experience, have you seen much of that happening, that residents are trying to now go through kind of a commercial approach to getting solar?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, yeah, certainly you've got, the kind of residential leaders like Sunrun and others who can, yeah, as you described, Nikki, if you lease through a third party owner, they can monetize the tax credits and build it into your solar lease. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Rachel, I don't know what, folks that you've been working with, who you all are kind of recommending, but I do know that, yeah, that was, obviously a big loss in the Build Back Better Act, was that they took away that ability for residential owners to claim the tax credits, but they did leave it for third-party owners. So yeah, I believe there are plenty of companies that you could turn to help with that. But yeah, Rachel, I'm not sure if you have any additional thoughts on that.
I dropped a link in the chat there that explains a little bit more about leasing or leasing or entering into power purchase agreements. It's something to think really carefully about. It's certainly the way that companies, the installers, want to go, as Andreas was saying, because then they can take the tax credit and they can give you a little bit of a discount from that. It's something to be really cautious about, especially since if you sell if it's your residence or your building, you would need to try to get the new owners to take on that lease, and so it can get really complicated, especially when selling houses. So it's just good to be well informed if you're looking at those options.
Right. Our next question is from Wes Ryle with the Cincinnati Observatory. The question is, have you ever worked with a nonprofit organization that is not the owner of the buildings? The Cincinnati Observatory is its own nonprofit entity, but we are a long-term lessee of the University of Cincinnati, who owns the buildings themselves. And I'll open it up to whoever wants to take it first.
Sure, I can start. Yeah, thanks for the question, Wes. Yeah, for RE-volv, many of the projects we work with are nonprofits that do own their building, like a house of worship, for example. But for those that don't own their building, as long as they're a long-term tenant of that building, they have a long-term lease, more than 5 years with that organization, we would just need the owner of the building to sign off on the financing, whichever route we went with. So it sounds like, if the as long as the owner of the building was kind of clued in and basically agrees that if you guys were to move out, whoever the next tenant in would continue the solar payments as per the original agreement, then we can structure that with you.
Great. All right, next question is from Mike Lyons. How are you spreading the word about the co-op? How many participants are you expecting? Well, I'll say that for this launch call, we had over 90 people register, and this is recorded and it will live on our website as well as the southwestohiosolar.org, which I'm going to drop in the chat right now just for convenience. But I think each of the organizations that's at the table here today, be it the City of Cincinnati, the City of Dayton, Solar United Neighbors, RE-volv, and Faith Communities Go Green, we all have our networks that we're certainly promoting this out to. And I think that's the best way to spread the word. If you know anybody on this call that knows a nonprofit or a tax-exempt organization that might be interested, certainly send them along to the website to learn more and potentially sign up. And let's see, next question. Or just comment. Chuck Laurie, the Contemporary Art Center wants to erect a solar array off-site. That's interesting. So that would potentially be ground-mounted solar, and I'll open that up to either Andreas or Rachel, whomever wants to take that first.
Sure. I mean, I guess, I mean, we could, it'd be good to get a little more insight into kind of where and how far away and kind of how that might work with the utility. But yeah, certainly something, that's possible. Not a barrier at all.
I'll just say on ground mount systems generally, like if you're not putting it on your roof, if you're building on the ground, steel is the most expensive component. So, that does kind of add to the cost when you have to build, like if you're building, for example, over a parking spot or something like that, it can add to the cost of the array. Also, you'll have to trench it and wire it back to your building if it's like in a yard or like adjacent. So that can add to the cost as well. Those are typically the main costs that we see when we're talking about smaller residential size systems. So I'm sure it's different when we're talking about bigger size.
Yeah, and I'll just put in there, certainly the City of Cincinnati has installed large-scale solar in off-site places and then done power purchase agreements. So that is something that can be done. We went through a request for proposal process, and we did a whole vetting process on what would be the best location for us to try and do that. So if you're interested in having a conversation, certainly reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Let's see. Thank you, Mimi, for your suggestion to publicize at the Midwest Regional Sustainability Summit that's coming up this Friday. It's our anchor program for Cincinnati Climate Week. City of Cincinnati Office of Environment and Sustainability will be there out in force, and we will definitely be promoting this at our table. So thank you very much. And then let's see. Question from Joanne Gerson. Will competitive loan rate options be considered, such as looking at regional green bank rates as well as RE-volv rates? I will say, so RE-volv is a wonderful partner that we're working with, but you do not necessarily have to work with RE-volv for your financing. If you find a more competitive loan rate, we can certainly work with your organization to think through that. And I believe that has happened on other, solar co-op programs that a variety of financing options have been utilized. All right. Any other questions? Looks like we might be ending a bit earlier than anticipated. All right. Well, thank you so much for attending. If you registered with us, I have your email. I'll be sending a follow-up email with more information and sort of the next steps, as well as a one-pager. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation, please feel free to reach out. Happy to have that conversation. If you're closer to the Dayton area, we can connect you with the city of Dayton to have a conversation as well. So thank you so much. We're really excited about this program, and have a great Climate Week. Thank you, Rachel and Andreas and Ken.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you. Bye,
Good job.
everybody.
Bye.